Hey guys, it's your spiritual big brother here. I'm just here today. I want to talk a little bit about some insights that I have. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I guess this is going to be maybe my spiritual journals or something like that. I keep a lot of these off on the side. They just help me to capture thoughts and doing it raw. And I had some suggestions from some people that maybe it's worth my time to capture these and kind of share them. But while they're raw, I plan on doing a lot of books and such like that, and I just keep accumulating this raw material, and it's good stuff as it is. It could use some polishing, but I'm just going to take this opportunity to kind of share some of these, just I guess speak out loud and process these things with you guys, these ideas, these insights, and these come to me all the time. This is what I'm wired for. This is like what runs through me naturally. This is what I care about. Some of it, sometimes it could be a little bit controversial. I'm probably going to stay away from that stuff for now until I get more comfortable on this channel and, people actually want that kind of stuff. But for now, I'm going to kind of play it a little bit safe and just stay kind of within my own boundaries, because I feel like as a true spiritualist, and maybe even a little bit of a rebel too, we like to push boundaries a little bit to know where the real truths lie, to know how to really hold paradoxes, which means you need to understand both sides of the coin. So sometimes I deal with some stuff that is perhaps controversial, perhaps less mainstream, which is the good stuff, but it's not for everybody. So I'm going to stick with the stuff that I think is mostly for everybody, that can really help people. And then maybe I'll try some stuff. Maybe we'll experiment, but that won't be until down the road. Let me get going on this, though. Here's some thoughts I had. I've written down kind of bigger ideas, and then I'm just going to kind of expand on them a little bit, kind of give you like where I was going with them or whatnot. So I'm just going to read what I have here, and then maybe I'll talk about it a little bit. This was a thought that came to me last night. This was, so I'll just say it as I have it written here. I did some things I'm not proud of, but I don't regret them. They were some of my greatest teachers, teaching me who I am and who I am not. It's when we get stuck in those seasons or trapped in them that they become a detriment rather than a teacher. And I'm not going to give any examples on that, but I'm sure that you guys can feel that, the depth in that. Forgive yourself. I feel like that's a good lesson that you can pull out of that. That's something that it's hard for us. We all have regrets. We all have things we did that we shouldn't have done. That's part of being human. And I like to also constantly remind people on this channel and in real life, anywhere in spirituality, I like to remind people that we're both human, which means we're susceptible to error. We're susceptible to mistakes. But we're also divine too. You got to remember that. You're a creator. You can heal yourself. You can find love. You can share love and so many other things. I mean, I'm going to talk about that all throughout my channel. Finding peace, finding happiness, becoming your true highest self, all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's our more divine side. So we kind of fluctuate between the two. But that's where I was going with this. I need people to understand, personally, this is what my beliefs, and you're welcome to them. Again, if this feels good, if this sounds good, if this sounds like a truth for you to take it, it's yours. But just understand that it's okay to make mistakes out here, but it's not okay to keep making them over and over again. Learn from your mistakes, move on from them, heal from them. That's really what I'm trying to say here. And I think it was pretty well articulated. Again, this came to me at like 3 o'clock in the morning last night. I didn't get much sleep. And this is the kind of stuff that kind of comes through my brain during those times when it's very quiet and distilled. It's almost like meditation when I wake up like that, or a creative window. I know that some people call it the witching hour. Boy, the plows are out today, huh? It's snowing everywhere. Okay, let me move on to the next thought. So I think I got that one pretty good. Leave some comments too. Expand on that. Tell me if it's a raw thought, so tell me maybe if it could be better articulated or better said. That's why I do these things. I eventually want to get these polished, but for now you're getting it raw, the way that I have it on paper, the way it came to me. Here's another thought I had. It's something that I've experienced through my spiritual path. I have found in any of the mistakes I've made or any of the challenges that I've had, And these don't happen very often anymore, but they do happen. I mean, I feel like you're always going to make some mistakes. I feel like you should own them. I feel like you should try to do better next time. I feel like you need to really learn. You need to reflect on them. You need to sit with them. You need to process the ones that you did wrong. What did I do wrong here? How can I fix that? How can I do better next time? That kind of stuff. That's part of your spiritual work. That's part of you just being a better person too. It's kind of both. But here's the thought that I had, and I'm going to leave it simple. I think I had it more expanded than this. But one thing that I have found is that God always leaves a back door open for you. Always. If you've made a mistake, if you've had a regret, if there's something that you've fallen short of on your own divinity or your own highest self or whatever you feel in your heart, you've come up short, or you've mistaken something, or you have a regret, or whatever the case is. You can beat yourself up, you can shame yourself, you can feel guilty about it, you can do all that stuff. You can put yourself through your own judgment as long as you want. But God will always give you a second chance. Always. No matter what you've done or anything like that. Now, this isn't permission to go out there and just keep screwing up and not learning from it and saying, oh, okay, well, God always going to leave that back door open for me. That's not true. You need to have a pure heart and good intentions for what you're doing, because when you don't have that, you basically close the door, in my opinion, to God and to what he will do for you. But if you're honest, if you've made a mistake, you notice the mistake, you've realized that this is something that isn't you, it's out of character, you may have been susceptible to desire or to a sin, and you've made a mistake. That's really what I'm getting at. If that sounds like you, just keep in mind, there is always going to be another opportunity, as long as you're open to it, as long as you're willing to serve somebody else, as long as you're willing to be more aware and pay attention. There's always going to be another opportunity to redeem yourself in some way, and you're probably going to learn from it. It might cause you a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of suffering, maybe even a little bit of fear, right? Maybe it means going to help somebody, or maybe it means holding a conversation with somebody that you're a little bit frightened to have, right? Maybe it's something that scares you or intimidates you, or maybe it's a job interview. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there will be more opportunities. God always leaves the back door open. I have always found that. But again, it's got to be for the right reasons. He's not going to do it if you're happy with being a bad person and think that you can just always have somebody to catch you when you fall. Now, God will do that, because I think God really taps into all of our purest hearts and cores and wants to guide us in that direction no matter what, but he is very strategic about how he does it. So the best way that I've ever found it is being very honest and open and really trying. You'll find the doors that way. If nothing else, just being in a state of being grateful and all that good stuff, all that good spiritual stuff. So that's what I got on that. I think it's just a good thing to keep in the back of your minds. All right, let's move on. Here's a bit of another thought here. Same thing. These came to me last night. I was jotting these down real quick, raw. The process of becoming authentic, or a great man, or your highest, truest self, or pursuing a calling or purpose. I think you catch my drift here. I'm kind of using this as a catch-all. If you really want to become the best person you can possibly become, that's what I'm saying here. If you decide to do that. Now, for me, I've decided to pursue that with spirituality. This might be a little bit different for other people. I think spirituality comes with suffering, comes with challenges, but I think life also comes with all that too, even if you're not on a spiritual path where you really want to be an expert like I do on this stuff and want to be a master, to really help people and to, get spirituality more modernized and just speak the language so that people can really understand the lessons that are here from a much more grounded level. Like, I'm trying to be your brother here, is really what I'm trying to do. So what I'm really getting at here, though, is if you want to be that type of a person, and I'm only going to be able to speak about this from a spiritual person that wants to do the best possible job I can do, and it may not be perfect. In fact, it might be a lot of imperfection. That's the human being speaking there. But I definitely want to do this right. And I assume anybody else that's pursuing a professional path or anything like that would want to do the same. You would care about your customers genuinely, or your clients, or whatever, anybody that you're guiding. You would genuinely invest in that. That's what I'm talking about. And that requires, I think, a certain type of person. And I think everybody's version of that might be a little bit different. But here's what I got on that. So, especially for me, with spirituality, it strips you bare from the things that are invisibly controlling you, your life, and that's hard work. Because of it, we find comfort and pleasure in. And we never like detaching from those. Okay, I think I may have copied this a little bit wrong, but what I was trying to say here is that the things that are invisibly controlling us are, in my opinion, from a spiritual standpoint, are things like your sins, your pleasures, or the things that provide you comfort and security in your life. When you get on a professional path and you want to be the best you can be, or you want to go chase a mission or a journey, or you want to be the best possible person you can be, the best possible professional you can be, or follow a calling or a purpose, anything like that. Becoming your true highest self, which means, being about as perfect as you can be, but also being realistic and rational about what that really means as a human being. I mean, we're imperfect. We go through trial and error. We make mistakes so that we can learn from them. We're like a computer that can actually learn as we're out here in this world. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. But what it's going to do when you decide to go down that road and take it seriously is that it's going to strip you bare of all those things that are controlling you, that you can't see, that are invisible. It could be lust, it could be greed, it could be materialism, it could be boundaries that you're not setting that are destroying you in ways that maybe you haven't considered, stealing your energy, stealing your time, stealing your value. When you decide that you want to be a professional and do all this on your own, or just become the best version of yourself, you're going to struggle with some of this stuff. I think it's just built into the path. And it's what people like to call the spiral too. These lessons will keep coming around and keep challenging you, and they'll keep kind of leveling up every time. They'll be a little bit harder every time. And it's to make sure that you're doing the best you can to keep you focused and to help you instill the lessons that you need, so that you can then help other people of all different backgrounds, depending on what it is you're pursuing, depending on what your goals are, what your missions are, the plans that you're making, the circumstances. There's so many different things that kind of account for all this. But just know that when you do this, I think that that's important. I don't know how important that is for my spiritual channel, but I think it's important as a person that you understand what's involved. Like it's a hard path, and I don't want anybody to not realize that. And I want you to also realize that that suffering has meaning too, and I think that that's the spiritual tie-in. So, that being said, I got one more since the plows are just going crazy today. I better get out of here, and I see I'm almost at 15 minutes, so I don't want to, or maybe this is good. I don't know. If this works for people, let me know. I'm really going out on a limb here trying to share this, and hopefully people can appreciate the rawness, because I realize I like to perfect things and get rid of that human rawness and that connection. I think that there's a lot of feeling and emotional and spirituality in this, and I feel like sometimes maybe I over-polish that a little too much, and trying to help people be more human. So, but also find God and spirituality too. I'm trying to kind of do both. That's my paradox, I guess. Okay. Here's a strange thought. Not everybody might see this clearly, and even I don't. I got to sit with this one more, but I'm going to share it anyways. You guys can sit with this one. This one, this isn't a firm belief I have. This is something I'm just wrestling with. Okay, but I think, keyword think, I'm not sure, I think desire and love are on the same frequency. They seem to cross signals sometimes. I feel like that's one that we all wrestle with internally, and I think it makes sense if we realize, if we put our emotions as human beings on a spectrum. You know, you're depressed, you're sad, you're angry, all these things. They're kind of like these discomforting thoughts that we have that flow through us. Sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're cold, or sometimes they're loving and calm and embrace. You know what I mean? It's all on a spectrum though. So I feel like somehow, whether or not they're on opposite polars, and somehow we're able to mix those signals or something. I don't know. It's a strange thought. But I like thinking about this. It's kind of like dissecting, I guess, the psychology of it a little bit, of, I guess, what makes us kind of susceptible as human beings to error in these departments. I know I've kind of struggled with separating those because, you know, sometimes when you think about love, you think about what that means on the spiritual level, but then we also kind of get tied up like, well, does somebody mean this? Or does something mean, you know, the more lustful side of things? And I think it's just an interesting thing to think about, sit with, come to your own conclusions on. If nothing else, just kind of trigger a stream of thought. Maybe not to land on an answer, but just to like expand your own thinking, to maybe focus on something that you hadn't really thought about. That's why I like doing this. But that's also why these are journals and raw. And so yeah, that's what I got on this though, guys. Anybody that's made it this far, drop a comment, reach out to me, let me know if this is worth sharing and people like this. Yeah, let me know what you think, because I'm really going out on a limb here. I usually like to protect this stuff. I like to keep this thing in journals. I like to think one day I'm going to come back to this, although this just keeps piling up behind the scenes. And this kind of gives me an avenue to share these, to find a space for this where other people can kind of sit with it and see kind of the way that I think. But also I'm sure that a lot of other people think this way too. If you've made it this far through the video, you're probably on the same wavelength as me. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I'm letting you into my inner world so that you can just see what's going on and make your own decisions and talk about it too. I mean, this is a community. You know, you guys are my audience, whoever's here, whoever's still on this, you know. So that being said, let me know what you think. Leave a comment if you want. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, let me know if any one of those things you want me to expand on. Let me know if you'd like me to try some controversial stuff. I'm usually, I handle that stuff pretty well. I navigate that pretty well. I maybe we'll try it out sometime. Let me put it to you that way, and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Thanks for being here this long. This one ran a little bit longer than I wanted, but I guess for this kind of work or this kind of journaling, I guess it's not a bad thing. All right. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one.